Welcome guys, this is your friend Naruto Addict 3.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Today's fanfic is titled, What if Naruto became the legendary Chaos Shinobi with Kushina and Sakura his powerful harem? Part 2. Let's start this fanfic. Sakura was excited. Koyuki Kazuhana has come to Konoha to negotiate a new treaty. She just had to tell Naruto since she knew he'd be psyched about meeting her again. So she raced across rooftops to get her blonde teammate's apartment. Once there she knocked on the door. No answer, so she knocked harder. Still no answer. Sakura did this for a while till she got fed up and began pounding on the door. Naruto, get up you lazy! She shouted. The door was opened as Sakura was about to pound again. Her fist stopped as her green eyes widened at who was at the door. It couldn't be, it just couldn't be. Her mouth went dry and no words could come to her. What do you want? Before Sakura was a very pissed off Koyuki. She looked just as amazing as she did all those years ago when she first met her. But the only difference was that Koyuki wasn't wearing any clothes at all. Well, she was wearing a bed sheet, but I don't think that qualifies as clothing, does it? Sakura stuttered and mumbled in response. Well, you have interrupted something very important and I want to get back to it without much delay, Koyuki said angrily. Sakura just nodded, still in shock at what she was seeing in front of her. What in the world is Koyuki doing here? She thought. Before Sakura could ask this out loud, Naruto appeared in a white wife beater and a pair of boxers. He wrapped his arms around Koyuki's waist and held her tight. Koyuki leaned against Naruto as she relaxed in his arms. What's keeping you, my queen? I thought you had important business to discuss with me. Naruto asked. I do, but we got this interruption, Koyuki said, gesturing to Sakura. Naruto looked to Sakura. Hey Sakura, he greeted, then went back to Koyuki. Sakura was trying to wrap her mind around what was going on here. This couldn't be happening, right? Naruto and Koyuki. This had to be a genjutsu of some kind. She formed the hand sign and tried to cancel the genjutsu she thought was over her. Nothing happened. She tried again, but again nothing. Naruto was still with Koyuki and now they were making out in front of her with Naruto's hands up and down Koyuki's body, even slipping into the sheet covering the snow, spring princess's body. Hearing the moans and mewls of pleasure. Naruto, more, I want more, Koyuki gasped out. With pleasure, but we need to get back to the table if we're going to discuss business, Naruto said. Yes, so much business to attend to, Koyuki said. Naruto dragged Koyuki back into his bedroom, kicking the door shut on Sakura's face. Sakura stood there still, eye shocked. Then she heard the sounds of Naruto and Koyuki's discussions. That did it. She fainted dead away with no one noticing her till way later. Shikamaru was very annoyed and grumpy. He had just finished a shift at the Yamanaka flower shop covering for Ino, who wasn't there at all. Troublesome girl, the Nara grumbled. He then left to find his blonde-haired teammate to give her a piece of his mind. Now normally Shikamaru wouldn't do this, but he was pissed a bit for having to do this. He had to work, and he didn't care doing work. He'd rather watch clouds or play shogi or even take a nap. But no, he had to do Ino's shift so she wouldn't be in trouble. So he was going to have a talk with Ino. Thankfully he knew that Ino has been spending time with Naruto training with her fellow blonde. Shikamaru first went to the training ground that Naruto and Ino usually used, but they weren't there. So he headed to Naruto's place to ask where he could find Ino and give her a piece of his mind. His anger had yet to subside one bit. When he got there he restrained himself a bit since he should be angry at Naruto, but Ino. So he knocked on the door. There was no answer and that made Shikamaru sigh. He knocked a few more times, each time getting louder and louder. He then heard shuffling of feet and that meant Naruto was coming to the door. When the door opened the Nara was in for a shock that made his heart stop for a moment. Before him was Ino. But Ino wasn't dressed in her usual clothes. No. She was in her dark purple bra and panties. What do you want? Ino asked with great annoyance. It took Shikamaru's brain a moment or two to reboot since he had never seen Ino in her underwear before. A nosebleed was starting to form, but he quickly wiped it away on his sleeve. Well, what the hell do you want? Ino asked, now crossing her arms under her, pushing them up more. She wasn't doing this on purpose though. Shikamaru blinked as his brain tired compute what he was seeing. He had never seen Ino so underdressed before and it was sending his mind into shock. The Nara muttered out. Geez Shika, say something intelligible, Ino said with a huff. Shikamaru was still trying to get his brain operating when Naruto appeared. He was dressed only in his boxers, showing off his bare chest. He wrapped his arms around Ino's waist and nuzzled her neck. Ino moaned as a smile graced her face. Naruto, she scolded, but had no heat in it. I want you back in bed, my lovely lilac. We've still got more training to do. So many more positions to go through, Naruto murmured. I know Naruto, but Shika's at the door, Ino said. Naruto looked up to see Shikamaru for the first time. Oh hey, Shika, what's up? He asked like he wasn't bare-chested with arms wrapped around a bra and panty-clad Ino. Shikamaru let out some non-intelligible sounds. Huh, okay. Well come on Ino. Back to work, Naruto said. Ino began walking away and Naruto slapped her, making her squeal. See ya Shika, Naruto said, then shut the door. Shikamaru heard the sounds of Naruto and Ino's training. He felt blood ooze from his nose and he wiped it away. He then left muttering about lots and lots of sake and troublesome blondes. Tsunade sighed as she was searching for her wayward apprentice friend, Shizune. She had left her at home since Shizune was too sick to work. Tsunade ordered and had to almost strap Shizune to the bed to keep her from getting up. But now she was trying to find Shizune since she had stopped by during her lunch break only to find Shizune nowhere to be found. Shizune, you better be alright or so help me, the female Sannin grumbled. She had been searching all over the village and had yet even find a trace of her. It didn't help that Tauntaun was under the weather too, and that meant its nose could be of any use either. So Tsunade was on her own looking. Soon she stopped to catch her breath when she got an idea. Naruto. She knew that the brat could help her. He'd be as worried as she is and would move heaven and earth to try and find Shizune. She got to Naruto's apartment and began knocking on the door. When the blonde brat didn't answer after the first few taps, she began hitting the door harder, hoping to jar whatever the brat was doing. She banging on the door so hard it was close to being knocked down. Brat, open this door at once, she shouted. Soon the door was yanked open and Tsunade was about to lay into Naruto and bash him in the head for good measure for making her wait. But she froze when she saw that it wasn't Naruto in front of her. No, it was Shizune. Her former traveling companion, apprentice, friend and secretary was standing there wearing one of Naruto's t-shirts, which was back with an orange swirl on the front. Shizune was also wearing what appeared to be a pair of Naruto's boxers too. They were decorated with toads. What do you want? Shizune asked in a very grumpy tone, which stunned Tsunade a bit since she had never heard Shizune sound so grumpy before. Shish Shizune, Tsunade said. Oh Lady Tsunade, I apologize for my behavior, I had just woken up, Shizune said, bowing her head. Yup, that's Shizune, but what in the heck is she doing here? Tsunade thought. Shizune, what are you doing here? You should be at home resting, the Lady Hokage said. Oh, well, you see, it's like this, Shizune mumbled as she played with the hem at the bottom of the shirt with her fingers, not even looking up at Tsunade. Tsunade waited patiently for an explanation, but before she could hear it, Naruto appeared wearing only a pair of boxers. He got up right behind Shizune and wrapped his arms around her waist. My patient should be resting, he said as he nibbled on Shizune's ear. Shizune mumbled out a moan as she pressed her body into Naruto's. Tsunade was shocked seeing what was before her. The brat and Shizune. What was going on? She thought they had a sibling relationship, not something like this. Naruto nibbled on Shizune's ear. Doctor's orders. Come back to bed and I'll administer the shots you need to get healthy, he said. Shizune moaned as she felt herself get warm all over. Her body energizing from Naruto's words only for it get revved up even more when Naruto's hands come into play. His hands sneak under the shirt and danced across her skin like ice dancing over a hot metal surface. Yes, Dr. Uzumaki, she groaned. Tsunade just didn't know what to say or do as she saw this all. Her mind was totally shut down as she stood stock still. Come Shizune, back to bed, Naruto said. He then dragged Shizune away. I'll see you tomorrow, Lady Tsunade, she said as she slammed the door on Tsunade's face. Tsunade stood there staring at the closed door. Her ears then pick up something. Oh doctor, yes Dr. Moore. Please give me a complete physical. Yes, yes there. I need a closer examination right there. It was with that Tsunade dashed off back to her office. Sake, need a lot of sake, she mumbled hoping she could drown herself with the alcohol and forget what she had just witnessed. Kakashi and Sakura were getting ready to head out. They had finished up a mission and they stopped at small village to rest before heading back to Konoha and report. The two were waiting for their third teammate, Naruto, to show up so they could leave. That lazy, we've waited for him for like an hour, Sakura mumbled angrily under her breath. Now Sakura. Naruto probably has a good reason for his sleeping in, Kakashi said as he continued to read his precious book. Whatever, it's worse enough that you're always late, but now Naruto is picking up the habit, Sakura said as she marched away from Kakashi. What's wrong with my habits? Kakashi thought as he followed his student. The Junin and Chunin got to the door of Naruto's room and knocked. There was no answer and this didn't help Sakura's mood since she was already angry. She hammered on the door again making the wood rattle. Again no answer. That's it, Sakura said as she cracked her knuckles ready to punch the door down with her chakra-powered strength. Hold on Sakura, we don't want to have to pay for property damage, which would come out of your pay mind you, Kakashi said as he rested a hand on Sakura's shoulder. Sakura huffed as she knocked on the door again with great force, but not enough to break the door of its hinges. The two waited then heard movement. Soon the door opened and Sakura was about lay into her lazy teammate till she saw that it wasn't her teammate at the door. No, it was some girl. She had dark brown close to black hair, which was a total mess. Her attire consisted of an overly large shirt that was black and had an orange swirl on it along with a pair of cotton panties that was hidden underneath. She had pink pupil-less eyes and they looked severely annoyed and pissed off. What the hell do you two want? She growled. Sakura was already angry and this girl in front of her wasn't helping. Who the hell are you and why are you in Naruto's room? She asked. That's none of your business Pinky. So butt out, the girl said glaring at Sakura. Sakura was ready to lash out, but was stopped by Kakashi. He really didn't want to have to pay for any property damage. Though watching two chicks duke it out would be fun. My apologies, but you are in the room of one of my students, Kakashi said. Before the girl could answer she felt a pair of strong arms wrap around her waist and immediately she was sent to bliss. She closed her eyes as memories flew back to the night before. What's taking so long? I miss you, Naruto said. Kakashi and Sakura stood there shocked. In front of them was their teammate Naruto and he was totally wrapped up in this strange girl. He was nuzzling her neck peppering it with kisses as the girl tilted her neck to give more access. More, she moaned. Naruto chuckled as his hands started to touch and caress her body. Yes, that feels so good, the girl murmured. Naruto kept up his assault totally ignoring his two teammates. He didn't even know they were there in the first place. Kakashi cleared his throat, but the pair didn't stop. Kakashi had to clear his throat several times till their attention was captured. The girl glared at Kakashi for interrupting. Oh hey Kakashi, what's up? Naruto asked with his hands up the girl's shirt and most likely holding two somethings. Naruto, we need to get back and report, Kakashi said. Oh right. Well about that, it seems Kuratsuchi wants to discuss terms of an peace alliance between Konoha and Iwa, Naruto said. Kakashi's eye widened hearing that this girl, Kuratsuchi was from Iwa and that his student was with her. Was this some sort of trick? Sakura on the other hand was just shocked seeing everything going on that the Iwa thing didn't even really hit her. Naruto was with a girl and they had been intimate with each other. Her mind couldn't wrap around it. Yes, Naruto and I are discussing important topics between Iwa and Konoha and will have a great peace treaty between our villages after years of animosity. So if you please leave us so we can get back to business in hand, Kuratsuchi said as she pushed her chest into Naruto's hands. Naruto dragged Kuratsuchi back into the room as Kuratsuchi kicked the door shut, leaving Kakashi and Sakura standing there. Soon they heard the mattress creaking, moans, groans, giggles, and other sounds of business going on. Sakura's brain shut down as she fainted while Kakashi began giggling himself. He just had to write this idea down and send it to Jiraiya. He could come up with a lie to tell Tsunade why they were late. Hinata made her way by memory to Naruto's apartment. She had followed, well, you know what I mean. Anyway, she watched Naruto go home one day every day and had memorized the entire way, which was good since she was preoccupied to even watch where she was headed. You can do this, Hinata, you can do this. Just tell Naruto how you feel. You know that he no longer has any feelings for Sakura. You saw that yourself, the Hyuga thought. And that's where a bit of backstory is needed. You see, during one of the Konoha 11's get-togethers, Sakura had decided it was time to settle for Naruto. Well, when she did this, Naruto rejected her feelings. This shocked all of Konoha 11 since Naruto had been crushing on Sakura since the academy days. Well, this left Sakura extremely pissed and she tried to pound Naruto to the ground. Ino and Shikamaru stopped her, but mainly Ino ordered Shikamaru to help out even if the Nara thought it was just too darn troublesome to get involved. So that ended everything between Naruto and Sakura. Hinata was extremely pleased by this all since this meant she had a free shot at Naruto now that he was no longer hung up on Sakura anymore. And that is why she was heading to Naruto's place. It took the entire time, but Hinata had fired herself up and was feeling more confident than she had ever felt when confronting Naruto. She had a steely look of determination as she stared at the door. She raised her hand and knocked on the door. There was no answer. This made the Hyuga heiress frown since Naruto wasn't answering the door. She knew Naruto was out on a mission or anything. She had checked beforehand and knew he was in the village. She had also used her Byakugan to check the training grounds for a blonde hair, but none was found. She even checked Ichiraku's too and not a blonde head either. That meant he was home. So Hinata knocked a few times till she heard some movement. She took a few deep breaths and readied herself. The door opened and the words Hinata had left her as her eyes widened. Before her was a blonde, but it wasn't Naruto. No, it was Ino Yamanaka. What the hell was Ino doing here? Ino yawned as she stretched, trying to get the few kinks out of her body from sleep. This also showed off her very fit and toned body that was covered by her lilac purple bra and panties. Oh man, who the hell is it? It's too damn early and my day off, Ino grumbled as she rubbed her eyes. Ino, Hinata squeaked. Ino looked at Hinata. Oh, hey Hinata, what are you doing here? She asked, not caring at all about her attire. IWW was going to ask you the SSS same question, Hinata said, blushing at the sight of Ino, which made her turn her head away. Oh well, I am here because, well, Ino said as she tried to think of a good excuse. The two stood in silence. Hinata was wondering why Ino was here dressed the way she was and Ino trying to think of a good reason to why she was here without giving away why she was actually at Naruto's and only dressed in her underwear. Ino, where are you? Both girls knew this voice and soon Naruto appeared. He was only clad in his boxers, showing off his six-pack abs and chiseled chest. Hinata squeaked as more blood rushed to her face at the sight of a bare-chested Naruto. But her more perverted side of her mind was licking its chops. Oh God, do you see that? Do you see that? Don't you want to run your hands and tongue all over that? So wet looking at that. I bet he's huge too. Hell, we know he's huge thanks to our peeking pervert, Hinata said. Hinata was about ready to pass out due to having no more blood in her body since it was all in her face. Ino, why'd you leave the bed? I thought you told me you'd never want to leave ever, Naruto asked. Ino smiled as she wrapped an arm around Naruto's waist and kissed him. Sorry Naruto, but I couldn't get any sleep with the knocking I heard, and it was Hinata who was doing the knocking, she said. Huh? Oh hey Hinata, what are you doing here? Naruto asked, noticing the tomato-red Hyuga. Hi Naruto, Hinata stuttered. Oh come on Hinata, I thought you got over that stuttering of yours. You have such a beautiful voice not to stutter, Naruto said. Hinata meeped. Ino though got a wicked idea. If you could see, you'd see a devilish-looking light bulb going off atop of the Yamanaka's heiress head. Say Hinata, care to join us? She asked. Hinata's head snapped up. WWW what? She stuttered as she was doing a good fish out of water imitation. Yeah, join us. Double the pleasure, double the fun. And as you know, we blondes have to have the best fun, Ino said with a smirk. Naruto looked at Ino wondering what she was thinking, but who was he to say anything against it? It was every guy's fantasy to have a threesome with two hot girls, and Ino and Hinata definitely qualified as hot. For Ino, she knew of Hinata's massive crush on Naruto and thought this was a great way to get Hinata to tell Naruto her feelings, especially after getting hot and heavy rolling in the sheets. Come Hinata, I know you've seen how big Naruto is with your Byakugan, now it's time to take the next step, Ino said as she dragged Hinata inside Naruto's apartment. Hinata was still too shocked to even fight back. Ino dragged Hinata in and then slammed the door shut. Naruto followed Ino and a still stunned Hinata back to his bedroom. Neither Hinata nor Ino were seen for a long while, and when they finally emerged they both had shit-eating grins on their faces. The amazing glow girls got after getting absolute satisfaction and walking a bit tenderly from the amount of satisfaction they received. Both were thinking about when the next time will be. Shikamaru was unhappy. First off, his mom woke him up from a great sleep he was having. Then he had to do chores for her before he could leave. After he was finished with the chores, he was able to leave. He then went to pick up Tamari since she was here due to her duty as ambassador for Suna. He got to the hotel that she was staying at only to find out that she didn't come back last night. This really annoyed him. What really irked him was as he was searching for Tamari, he found out that Ino was nowhere to be found either. Her father was a bit worried and asked him to look for her. Shikamaru was looking for both Tamari and Ino. Troublesome blondes, the Nara grumbled. Soon he got to Naruto's since he needed help, and Naruto was known to find anyone no matter how impossible it could be. The blonde thrived in achieving the impossible, and his track record showed he could perform miracles on an almost daily basis. The blonde was a lucky charm of some kind. The Nara knocked on the door and got no answer. He sighed and knocked again. Still no answer. Troublesome, the Nara muttered. He then knocked a third time, and then he heard movement coming from within the apartment. Finally, he grumbled, wishing he was watching clouds rather than being at Naruto's door. The door opened and Shikamaru's eyes widened. In front of him was Ino. What the hell was Ino doing here? Ino yawned as she stretched. This only showed off her taut hot little body, which was covered just by her purple bra and panties. Her blonde hair was out of its regular ponytail and a total mess. What do you want? The Yamanaka heiress grumbled out. Shikamaru's brain was trying to reboot since he had never seen his teammate so underdressed before, and the threat of blood leaking out of his nose was quite imminent. Shika, what the hell are you doing here? Don't you have some clouds to watch or something? Ino asked as she saw her teammate standing before her dumbfounded. Shikamaru let out a couple grunts, murmurs and other non-intelligible things. Ino blinked as she had never seen her usually brilliant yet lazy teammate act so out of character. Shika, are you alright? She asked with a hint of worry. Before Shikamaru could answer, another figure appeared. She was older than Ino. She had dirty blonde hair that was in the same mess as Ino's along with green eyes. Her attire was a bit more modest than Ino's. Well, if you consider wearing just a bed sheet that covered her voluptuous curves as well as enhance her already nicely formed chest, be deemed modest. Flower girl, what's taking you so long? She asked. Sorry fangirl, but something's wrong with Shika, Ino said. Tamari turned to Shikamaru, who now had a dribble of blood coming out of his nose. What do you want? She asked impatiently. Ino, Tamari, what, do, here? Shikamaru asked intelligible. Tamari snorted at how mangled a sentence the Nara let out. She crossed her arms over her chest, only amplifying her cleavage even more and making Shikamaru's eyes draw towards them even more than before. This made more blood dribble out of his nose. Lovely lilac, desert flower, where are you to? In some part on Shikamaru's brain he recognized the voice, but that part was the only real working part in his brain and it was having a hard time getting the message to the rest of the brain was frozen over like the ice age. Soon Naruto appeared wearing just his boxers that had toads and ramen bowls on them. His six-pack abs were bare for all to see. He stepped in between his two fellow blondes and he wrapped an arm around their waists, pulling them close to him. Both girls leaned in, allowing their bodies to be pressed against Naruto's. Sorry Naruto, but we got a bit sidetracked here, Ino said. Sidetracked? Naruto asked. Yeah, Shikamaru, Tamari said. Huh, oh hey Shika, what are you doing here? Naruto asked, noticing the still stunned Nara. The Nara let out noises that the three blondes couldn't understand. Tamari huffed. Forget about him and let's get back to bed. I still have my turn to go and I am not wasting it on standing here, she said. What? You've had your turn, it's mine, Ino said in a bit of anger. Please, you hogged him most of the night claiming some sort of Konoha bullshit. It's my turn, Tamari said. Ino looked ready to argue when she felt a hand caress her toned tummy. She moaned instead. Tamari looked victorious till she succumbed as well. Naruto's other hand had made its way inside her bed sheet and was playing with her taut tummy as well. Now girls. There's plenty of me to go around. I thought yo figured that out last night when I wore both of you out, in blissful happiness I might add, Naruto said. Both girls remembered that night, the night they would never forget. They couldn't remember how many times they both did it, how times they came or anything else. It was a huge pleasurable blur to them. Come on, I think a round 2 is in the works and we'll see who can last longer, Naruto said. Me first. Ino and Tamari shouted as they dashed to Naruto's room, ripping off whatever clothing they had on along the way. Shikamaru could have sworn he saw their bear as they disappeared, but his brain was so overloaded that he'd most likely forget it. Naruto chuckled as he shook his head. See ya later Shika, I got some work to do, he said, then closed the door. The sounds of moaning, grunting, groaning, giggling and others echoed, and that was the last straw for Shikamaru. He flew back by a powerful dual jet of blood erupting from his nose. He laid on the ground for hours with no one noticing him at all. Troublesome blondes, he grumbled before he passed out. Kurenai sighed as she raced off, hopping from rooftop to rooftop. She is searching for her missing student. She saw a bit scared since Hinata didn't show up for their team meeting and Hinata always showed up on time. So for Hinata not to even show worried her. She went to the Hyuga compound to see if Hinata was sick or anything and found out that Hinata wasn't even there and hadn't been there since yesterday afternoon. This now really worried the Genjutsu mistress. The Hyugas were all searching for Hinata. Hinata, please be safe, Kurenai muttered to herself. She soon got to Naruto's, hoping he could help her. She had heard the young blonde had a great knack for finding people. She took a deep breath and knocked on the door. There was no answer. Kurenai frowned and hoped Naruto wasn't out of the village. As far as she knew, Naruto wasn't, since she saw the blonde's perverted sensei around, and that most likely meant Naruto was still in the village. So she knocked again and again, no answer from within. The Genjutsu mistress sighed as she calmed herself down. She wasn't going to get angry at Naruto not answering the door. He was probably exhausted if he had just gotten back from a mission. So she knocked a third time, and that's when she heard sounds coming from inside. Soon the door opened and in front of her was her wayward student, Hinata. Hinata, Kurenai said, shocked. Huh, what? Hinata asked, rubbing her eyes. Kurenai was shocked, then she saw what her student was wearing. Hinata had on was, well, just a bed sheet that was wrapped around her body. Her purplish blue hair was a total mess and she had this odd glow about her that Kurenai knew looked familiar, but couldn't put her finger on it at the moment. Oh, Kurenai-sensei, what are you doing here? Hinata asked, now more awake. Hinata, What are you doing here and why are you wearing that? Kurenai asked. Oh this, well, Naruto and I were, well, we were, Hinata mumbled. Kurenai's eyes widened at this as it all hit her like a wrecking ball to the gut, but before she could speak the blonde entered. My angel, what are you doing? I want you back in bed with me, Naruto said as he nuzzled Hinata's neck. Hinata gasped as she turned herself around till she was facing Naruto. She pressed herself up against Naruto hard, rubbing, grinding and gyrating against Naruto. Naruto had his arms around Hinata doing her little dance. All Naruto did was pepper kisses all over Hinata's face and neck. Naruto, she gasped. You taste and smell so good, Naruto murmured. Kurenai was shocked at what she was seeing. Her usually shy student was in front of her doing such erotic things with the boy she's been crushing on for who knows how long. Kurenai never thought Hinata would ever have the courage to do this, let alone to tell Naruto her feelings. So this was shocking to her. Kurenai-sensei, would care to join us? Hinata asked, turning to Kurenai. What? Kurenai exclaimed. You've heard me, sensei. It's been a long time since you've been with a man and Naruto can give you pleasure and me too while still having much more to give too, Hinata said. Are you sure about this, Harem? Naruto asked. I am Naruto, come and pleasure her, Naruto. I know that she has been one of your fantasies, Hinata said. Naruto nodded. After relaxing from a bout of coitus, they talked about their fantasies and he did mention Kurenai a few times. I mean, what hot-blooded man wouldn't? Come on, Kurenai-sensei, Hinata said as she took Kurenai's limp hand and dragged her inside Naruto's apartment. Kurenai didn't fight as her mind was in overload. Naruto chuckled as he closed the door and followed his Harem and Kurenai to his room. The sounds coming from Naruto's apartment was quite loud, pleasurable and enjoyable. When Hinata and Kurenai left, they both looked royally shagged and quite happy about it. They kissed Naruto one last time as Naruto groped there. The two walked away tenderly with such amazing memories and thoughts of when they could go again. Kakashi was leaping from rooftop to rooftop. He was demanded to find Naruto since he was needed for a talk between Konoha, Suna and Mist. Mainly since Naruto had become a big hit and helped with the peace talks in the first place between the three, so he was needed for any further talks between the three villages. He sighed as he knew he couldn't waste time, else the threat of getting banned from reading his Ika and have Kurenai herself burn his precious books while he was strapped down unable to do a thing, but watch. That was Tsunade's threat if Kakashi didn't get his butt in gear and get Naruto immediately. So the Junin was getting close to his student's place and landed. He knocked on the door, but got no answer. He frowned and knocked again. And again no answer. This annoyed Kakashi since his Ika was on the line and he wasn't going to let Naruto make him get banned and lose his precious collection that he spent years and years getting. So after knocking hard on the door several times, he heard movement and was readying himself to berate his student for being late, even if that would sound stupid coming from him. The door opened and all words left Kakashi because before him wasn't his blonde-haired student. No, before him was a blue-haired woman wearing a short bathrobe that showed off her nice legs and basically screamed that she was underneath. Not to mention that the top part of the robe showed a nice heavy diz of her cleavage. Small dribbles of blood oozed out of his nose since Kakashi didn't have his Ika to shield him. Tsunade took his book away from him before he left. Yes, can I help you? Kakashi knew this woman's name. It was Konan, but his mouth and brain weren't connected at the moment. But way back in his mind he remembered when Naruto left the village, which caused a big riot since the village was still recovering and Naruto was considered one of their top shinobi, and with him up and leaving made everyone in the village feel vulnerable. Naruto left sensing Konan was in trouble. After the pain invasion and the aftermath, Konan went back to aim. What happened was Madara tried to take over and Konan fought back, but was badly injured. Naruto got there just in time to save Konan and he fought Madara. Naruto was badly wounded by Madara, but thanks to a powerful Rasengan he caused a huge flood sweeping Madara away and almost himself too, but Konan saved him and gave him mouth to revive him. Naruto came back with Konan and she decided to stay with Naruto since she had nowhere else to go. Can I help you? Konan asked again in a louder, firmer voice. Kakashi blinked as his brain rebooted, but seeing Konan again in her short bathrobe caused a brain-to-mouth disconnect again. Paper Rose, where are you? Again Kakashi knew this voice, but his brain wasn't working for him. Naruto appeared and his hands quickly slipped inside Konan's robes making Konan moan. Naruto, she said. What's keeping you Konan? I miss you and want you back bed. It's cold and lonely without you, Naruto said as his hands worked his magic. Coming, oh coming, I'm coming, Konan panted. Yes you are, come for me Konan, Naruto teased. He then dragged Konan back inside and slammed the door never noticing Kakashi at all. The sounds from within the apartment hit Kakashi's ears and a pervert giggle escaped his lips. Who cares about his Ika when he's got this? Neji and Sakura were both unhappy. The reasons why? Well, for Sakura it was because Naruto had promised to train with her today and he hadn't shown up, and she wasn't about to let Naruto pull a Kakashi on her, so she was racing to his place to drag him to the training ground no matter the state of his dress. Well, that was after she beat the shit out of him for making her wait. As for Neji, he was ordered to find Hinata after it seemed that she had gone missing. Neji had been looking high and low for Hinata, but she was nowhere to be seen. He then heard that Hinata had been seen with Naruto last. He knew Hinata and Naruto had been spending more time together and Naruto was helping boost Hinata's self-confidence and it was doing great wonders. So the two were both heading to Naruto's from different directions. They met at the blonde's door. Neji, what are you doing here? Sakura asked. I was about to ask you the same question Sakura, Neji said. I am here since Naruto promised to train with me today, but he made me wait and I am going to show him why I hate tardiness, Sakura said as she cracked her knuckles. Neji winced. He really didn't want to see that lesson. So why are you here Neji? Sakura asked. I am here because Hinata is nowhere to be found and I know Naruto and her spend time together, Neji said regaining his composure. Sakura turned and knocked on the door. There was no answer. Sakura frowned and knocked again and again, no answer. Sakura began banging on the door since her ire began to rise. Neji subtly inched back, not wanting to get in contact with Sakura's fist, which were about a nanosecond away from using her chakra-enhanced strength. Naruto, open this door this instant you lazy! Sakura screamed. Just as Sakura was ready to bust the door down with her chakra-enhanced fist, it was wrenched open, but before both Neji and Sakura it wasn't Naruto. No, it was Hinata and she looked absolutely pissed. Her Byakugan was ablaze and ready to kill whoever was in her sight. What she was wearing was a bra and panties, though she had her jacket over her bra though it was left open. What the do you want? She growled. Never had Neji heard Hinata swear or even seen his cousin angry before, but he could say Hinata was quite scary in angry mode. As for Sakura, she was shocked Hinata even knew that word. She was taken back by the huge amount of ki Hinata was giving off. Well, are you two going to tell me why you're here or are you going to stand there? Hinata asked, still quite unhappy. Now Hinata, that's not very nice. A woman appeared. She had long blue hair and was wearing a very short bathrobe. The robe was so short that it showed of her nice legs, it also showed of her very fine figure too. Neji turned his head as a small trickle of blood escaped his nose. He quickly wiped it away. Sorry Konan, but they interrupted, Hinata said, now a lot calmer than before. I understand. You were quite into it before they interrupted, Konan said as she hugged Hinata from the back. Hinata leaned back, pressing her back, squishing Konan's chest. Now to the reason why Konan is here. After Pain died, she broke down crying, thinking she was now all alone. Naruto and Hinata felt for Konan since they understood the feeling of being alone and they comforted Konan the best they could. This of course led to many things that became ways to comfort one another, which meant less and less clothes on, it seemed. Now the three were experts at comforting one another. But you know what they say, practice makes perfect. Both Sakura and Neji stood there shell-shocked at the sight. Konan was peppering kisses around Hinata's face and neck while Hinata was mewling and cooing. Neji's brain was fizzing out as blood threatening to spill out, even with Neji doing his best to hold back the flow, and Sakura's going, almost gone. What's taking you two so long? Naruto asked, appearing before the two wearing only his boxers. Sorry Naruto, Konan said, stopping her rain of kisses. We were rudely interrupted by these two, Hinata said. Huh, Neji, Sakura, what are you two doing here? Naruto asked. Forget about them Naruto. We're wasting a lot of time, Hinata said, getting out of Konan's grasp. Yes, they haven't said a thing at all, so they mustn't have anything to say at all, Konan said. Naruto was curious as to why Neji and Sakura were there, but before he could ask them, Hinata and Konan grabbed Naruto by under his armpits and dragged him away. Though he made no objection whatsoever to it, Hinata slammed the door shut. The sounds echoed throughout the apartment and they reached Neji and Sakura's ears. It was then they both fainted. Both dead to the world, with Neji having a major nosebleed. The Anbu sighed as he tapped his foot restlessly. It had been what, an hour, 2 hours maybe, since the interrogation had begun, and not a peep out of either the prisoner nor the interrogator. He knew this was a mistake, having Konoha's #1 knucklehead ninja take lead in this. After the failed Uchiha retrieval mission, they were able to capture one of the sound nins. She was restrained and healed, then after they deemed her well enough they brought her in for interrogation. But these were orders from the Hokage and had to be obeyed. Again he tapped his foot to pass the time. More time passed and then he got fed up and decided to take a look at what was happening. He walked down to the nearby interrogation rooms. This one had no viewing windows at all and he knocked on the door. No answer. He frowned and knocked again and again, no answer. He then tried and turned the handle, but found he couldn't get in. This worried him. What could have happened? Soon he heard movement and the door opened and the Anbu was face to face with Naruto. What do you want? He asked. His spiky blonde hair was askew and he looked annoyed. It's been a more than 3 hours and want to know if any progress is being made, the Anbu said. Oh, it's been that long, huh? Naruto asked, amazed at how much time had passed. Yes, so has she given any secrets up? The Anbu asked. She's given up plenty. Like her name is Tayuya, for instance, Naruto said. Great. Anything else? Hidden bases, how many shinobi they have, where the main hideout is? The Anbu asked. Yeah, but I, forgot to write it down, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. The Anbu slapped his hand to his forehead. Again, why did the Hokage wanted this boy to be the one to interrogate this prisoner? Soon something caught his eye and soon the prisoner appeared, but she holding up what looked like her ripped top and her panties that looked to be drenched. Her long red hair was a total mess and she walked a bit with a limp. What's taking so long, shithead? I thought you want to, interrogate me some more. Tayuya asked. We'll get back to me cleaning that dirty little mouth in a second, my foul fairy, Naruto said. I'm no fairy, I am a damn demon, Tayuya said. Yeah right, this demon dominated your little and you just laid on your back begging for more, Naruto snorted. You caught me unawares, besides I haven't had any for so long. I was under that snake pedo, remember, Tayuya said. Yeah, I remember, Naruto said, rolling his eyes. The Anbu's eyes widened, though you couldn't see because of his mask. But if you did see under his mask, you'd also see a trickle of blood coming from his nose too. So are we going to stand around all day, or are you going to do your damn job? Tayuya asked. This time bring out the whips and chains, Naruto grumbled. That's kinky. Never knew you had that side of you, Tayuya said with a grin. Naruto then turned to the Anbu. Give me some more time with her. She'll be screaming when I am done, he said, then slammed the door. The Anbu just stood there, then began hearing the screams. The screams of pure pleasure, begging for more, for it to be hard, faster. For more pain. The Anbu flew back, hitting the wall, creating a big crack in it because of a huge gusher of blood erupting from his nose. Naruto and Tayuya weren't heard from till way late in the day. With the Anbu found still unconscious and suffering from major blood loss. Kushina yawned as she got up. She scratched her rear and mumbled as she headed to the bathroom. Once out, she felt a bit more wake, especially splashing that cold water on her face. She then headed to the kitchen to make some breakfast for herself and her son. Once breakfast was finished, she ate and waited for her son, but he never showed. She frowned and decided to see what was keeping him. She headed to his room and knocked on the door. There was no answer. She knocked again, then a few more times with no answer. Soon the door opened and Kushina got the shock of her life. At the door was her best friend Makoto Uchiha. Yes, can I help you? Makoto asked grumpily. Makoto, Kushina stuttered. Oh, Kushina. I didn't know you were home. Naruto said you were on a mission, Makoto said blushing. I got back in late last night, Kushina said. Oh, so how was the mission? Makoto asked. What are you doing in my son's room? Kushina asked. Makoto was hesitant to answer, and the reason why was that she was just wearing her panties and one of Naruto's shirts, which was small on her, so it showed off her still amazing tight tummy. Being an active kunoichi had its benefits, like staying in great shape. Luckily Kushina hadn't realized what Makoto was wearing. Ops, think again. Why are you wearing my son's shirt and a pair of panties, Makoto? Kushina asked in a murderous tone. Makoto gulped. Usually she wasn't scared of when her friend got angry, but she never had that anger aimed at her. It was a different perspective to say the least. Soon a yawn broke the tension and Naruto appeared at the door. He wrapped his arms around Makoto's bare midriff. I want milk this morning, he mumbled as he moved a hand lower. Makoto squeaked. Naruto, your mother is at the door, she said. Naruto woke right up and saw his mother, and he moved his hands quickly, off Makoto like it was a branding iron. Mom, what are you doing here? I thought you were still on your mission. He asked. I came back in late last night. It seems me worrying about you being all alone and bored when I am gone was unfounded, Kushina said. Naruto mumbled. It was my fault, Kushina. I came over one day to find Naruto in his boxers. I couldn't help myself. I've been so alone and in need since that Fugaku and his idiots decided to revolt against the Hokage, Makoto said. Kushina knew about that. The former head of the Uchiha clan and now deceased husband of Makoto, Fugaku Uchiha. He had decided to stage a coup d'état against the Hokage, but it failed thanks to some inside intelligence. All the conspirators were killed and the rest of the clan interrogated to root out any more silent cells. Kushina knew how lonely Makoto had been after many talks with her. Makoto didn't like Fugaku at all and only slept with him to provide heirs, but other than that she slept in her own room in the Uchiha compound. But now seeing this, her son and Makoto, a crazy thought entered her mind and she began to giggle. Kushina, are you alright? Makoto asked, thinking her friend had lost it. Kushina giggled even more, making Naruto and Makoto even more scared. Oh, it's nothing. So Makoto, when will I expect grandchildren? Or will you want to be married to Naruto first before then? The redhead asked, still giggling. Kushina, Mom. Makoto and Naruto shouted. Kushina just giggled and pushed them both back into Naruto's room. Talk this out or however you want to do it. Don't come out till you've reached a decision or many climaxes, then a decision. I'll be waiting, she said, then slammed the door and used a seal to lock the room. It wasn't till much later and a very satisfied Naruto and Makoto were finally let out and wedding plans began. Kushina just giggled the whole time and the new couple really felt Kushina had lost it. Sakura was making her rounds at the hospital when she saw a door closed. It was a private room, so that meant she had to knock on the door instead of going in like most of the patient rooms. She frowned and knocked on it. She got no answer, but could tell it was occupied since there was a sign showing it was. She knocked a few more times when was about to go in when the door opened, though just enough to poke a head out. In front of Sakura was a green-haired girl. Her hair was in disarray and her bed gown looked like it had been put on in a haphazard manner. What do you want? The green-haired girl asked sourly. Sakura blinked as she tried to figure out who this girl was. She looked vaguely familiar, but the name abandoned her. Who are you? She asked. My name is Fu. Who are you, Pinky? Fu asked with a hint of annoyance. Sakura glared at Fu at being called Pinky, but she now remembered Fu. It was about a week ago and Naruto had returned from a mission carrying a badly injured Fu who was running a high fever. He told Tsunade that he found Fu on his way back unconscious surrounded by bandits debating on whether to rape her or not. Naruto wiped the bandits out and carried Fu all the way back to Konoha for medical treatment. Now Fu was recovering from her fever and injuries in the hospital. I am Sakura and I am a medic nin, how are you feeling? Sakura asked, calming down. Oh, I'm fine. Things are fine. Everything's fine, Fu said hurriedly. Okay. Well then I think I should check you over and then. No, that's not necessary at all, Fu interrupted. It is to make sure you are healing all right, Sakura said. But I said I was fine, so I am fine. No need to check me, Fu said. Sakura frowned and was about to push the door that Fu was blocking in, but then she heard a voice. Who is it, Fu? I still need to give you more personalized treatment. Soon the door opened up wider and there was Naruto only clad in his boxers that had flying ramen bowls on them. Naruto! Sakura screamed mentally. Fu had a bright red blush on her cheeks as Naruto wrapped an arm around Fu's waist, pulling her closer in. He nuzzled his face into Fu's neck. Come back to bed, Harem, you need your rest, he said. Naruto! Fu groaned as she felt Naruto's hands slip in back and under her hospital gown. It was tied in the back, but she could feel the strings giving. Sakura couldn't believe what she was seeing, she couldn't believe this was going on in the hospital. What would Lady Tsunade say? What would she do? She was going to be in big trouble for letting this happen. You need your bed rest and I'm here to make sure you get it, Naruto said into Fu's ear. I don't think I'll get any rest with you in my bed, Fu panted. No, but we'll have a lot fun though. You do like fun, don't you, Fu? Naruto asked. Oh yes, so much fun. So much hot, slick wild fun, Fu moaned. Sakura just stood there not even sure what to say or do. She was totally shocked and there was nothing in the book on what to do and Lady Tsunade never told her what to do in this situation either. She then felt the wind hit her as the door slammed in her face. She walked off dazed and made it through the rest of her rounds somehow. Later she went to the nearest bar after her shift and drank till she couldn't anymore, wanting to forget what she had seen. Tayuya hopped across the rooftops. It was night over Konoha and the redhead Kunoichi of the Sound 4 had easily snuck into the village and she was on the search for something, well, I should say someone. The person Tayuya was looking for was one of the few people that she actually cared for and was quite worried when she hadn't heard from her. You better be alright, Kin, she thought. She kept making her search and found that Kin wasn't in the prison and that made her wonder where Kin was. But then she heard some talk about a Sound girl being in protective custody. Tayuya headed off and looked for the info and found it. She snorted at how great the security in this village was. Strongest village, she thought. After some searching she found the place and picked the lock. It was easy and she snuck in. She made her way to a closed door and knocked on the door. She used the special knock she and Kin created to know it was the other. She had to do it a few times, but then she felt movement coming from the other side of the door. Soon the door opened and Tayuya let out a breath she'd been holding. Kin, thank God you're alright. What the happened to you? The redhead hissed. Tayuya, that you? What are you doing here? Kin asked, rubbing her eyes sleepily. What I doing here? What the hell are you doing here? Tayuya asked. Oh, well, I was Kin said, opening the door a bit more. Tayuya's eyes widened seeing what her best friend of all Sound was wearing. Kin was wearing a thong and a shirt she seemed to have just slipped on for modesty. The shirt was black with a blue swirl on it. What the is going on here, Kin? Tayuya hissed. Oh, well, Kin stuttered as she played with the hem of the shirt looking down. Kin, Tayuya said. She then heard mumbling and moving and she shifted, readying herself for an attack. But what she saw was something different. The person that appeared was Adonis in her eyes. She licked her lips unconsciously. Melody Bell, What are you doing awake so late? Come back to bed. I miss your body next to mine, he said, nuzzling his face into Kin's neck. Kin moaned as she craned her neck, allowing the boy more access. Oh Naruto, she murmured. Naruto's hands moved up and under Kin's shirt and began to play. This made Kin start breathing hard. She arched her chest out, wanting more of Naruto's talented hands. Kin, what the? Tayuya hissed. Oh Tayuya, you're still here. Are you going to join us or are you going? Kin asked, not happy to being disturbed. Why would I want to join? Tayuya asked. Kin moved forward and whispered into Tayuya's ear. Tayuya looked at Kin shocked and Kin smiled and nodded emphatically. No way, I am going back when I can get that, Tayuya said. Kin took Tayuya's hand and dragged her inside. You won't be need these, she said, ripping off Tayuya's clothes and tossing them outside the door. Kin and Tayuya had plenty of fun with Naruto that night and a day or two, with Tayuya finally getting some much needed relief and then some. The plans for the invasion were soon told to the Hokage much later. Sakura leapt from rooftop to rooftop. She was on her way to Naruto's apartment. Today was a team meeting, but Kakashi had appeared in usual tardy manner to tell her that he was being sent on a mission. This pissed her off. She knew she should be used to Kakashi's tardiness, but it still ticked her off. Then the fact that Naruto never showed up angered her even more. Now she was going to Naruto's apartment to have a chat and tron with her teammate for a while. She needed to release some stress. When she got to Naruto's place, she knocked on the door. No answer. This just elevated her already rising anger. Her knocks got more harder, angrier. Naruto, opened this door this instant. She screamed. Thankfully Naruto's door was built to withstand a heck of a lot. Some say Naruto's door was built thicker than a brick house. Now, how'd that handle Sakura's chakra-enhanced strength? Well, that's a test no one has ever done, but it looked to be happening very soon with the way things are going. She cracked her knuckles, getting ready to punch the door open when said door was wrenched open. Before Sakura wasn't her blonde-haired teammate. Not. It was an orange-haired girl and she utterly pissed. What the hell do you want and what's the freaking shrieking? The girl asked in a low menacing growl. Who the hell are you and what are you doing in Naruto's apartment? Sakura demanded. That's none of your business, Pinky, the orange-haired girl said. Sakura growled as she hated being called Pinky. She got that she had pink hair, but she just hated that name. Maybe worse than being called forehead by Ino. Sasama, where are you? Soon Naruto appeared. He was only wearing a sheet that he had wrapped around his waist. Sakura saw this and blushed madly before turning her head. A trickle of blood leaked from her nose. She quickly wiped that away. What are you doing here? I thought you wanted to spend more time with discussing. Bring your clan here. Naruto asked as wrapped his arms around Sasama. Sakura then got a look at what Sasama was wearing. She wasn't paying attention before due to her anger. But now that she was a bit more calm, she saw Sasama was wearing a lacy white bra and a pair of boxers with toads on them. Those boxers had to be Naruto's since there probably wasn't any other guy in the village that wore toad boxers, except maybe Jiraiya. Sorry Naruto, but this banshee interrupted us as we were getting into aggressive talks, Sasama said. Sakura's mind quickly tried to place this Sasama girl since she felt like she knew her. Soon it hit her. You're that girl we met in Rice Country. The medic Nin exclaimed. Yes, that's me. Sasama Fuma of the Fuma clan, Sasama said. BBB, but what are you doing here? Sakura asked. Naruto and I are discussing me moving the Fuma clan here, Sasama said. But why not talk to Lady Tsunade? Sakura asked. Naruto and I are discussing strategy, Sasama said with a smirk and a glint in her eye. Before Sakura could inquire more, Naruto was getting bored. His hands began to wander and Sasama was getting affected by it. She moaned as her eyes fluttered closed, enjoying the feeling of Naruto's hands. They sure knew how to handle her after all that talking from last night. As much as I enjoy hearing you talk, Sasama, we need to get back to the table and keep discussing tactics, Naruto growled. Sasama moaned and dragged Naruto inside. His hands were driving her crazy and she was so cranked up and needed some release. She back-kicked the door shut on Sakura's face. Sakura could hear the sounds of Naruto and Sasama's discussion, and it was quite heated, very steamy indeed. Downright aggressive in some places too. This caused Sakura to do the only thing her mind seemed to come up with. She fainted. She wouldn't be found for a while as Naruto and Sasama kept up their talks for many long hours. Tsunade wasn't happy at all. Her 2 students were late. Scratch that. They were later than late. She wasn't happy since she had cleared her schedule so she could teach them and they decided not to show. She was going out and find them and give them a piece of her mind. Oh yes, they will find out what happens if you're late to Tsunade's lessons. She was going to train them into the ground and then some for their tardiness. She first headed to the Yamanaka flower shop and found that Ino wasn't there. She then headed to Sakura's home and found the pink-haired girl not there either. This just angered her even more. Now she had to search for these 2. And search she did since she so wanted to pour out all her anger onto them and no substitute will do this time. These girls will pay dearly. She was on the hunt and finally got onto Sakura's chakra signature, which led her to Naruto's apartment. Of course it had to be the brat, she thought. When she got there she started to bang on the door. Thankfully the door was made especially for Naruto's apartment. It could withstand a ton of abuse, but this was a pure test. To withstand 1 pist of Sanin that had chakra-enhanced strength. Brat, open up, I know Sakura is there with you. Tsunade shouted. Son, the door opened, but it wasn't Sakura or Naruto at the door. No, it was Ino and all she was dressed in was a skimpy pair of purple bra and thong-style panties. Her usually kept long blonde hair messy and in disarray. Ino yawned. What the hell do you want? Do you know the time is? She asked grumpily, not realizing she was saying this to the Hokage. Yamanaka, what the hell are you doing here? Tsunade asked as she stared at one of her apprentices. Ino jolted awake by Tsunade's voice. Huh, oh Lady Tsunade, you're here, what are you doing here, is there a problem, an emergency? The long-haired blonde asked rapidly. No, not really a problem, but a question, like what the hell are you doing here and where's Sakura? Tsunade thought. Her question was answered when Sakura appeared. She yawned as she got to the door. Pig, what's got you so chatty this morning? She asked. Tsunade looked at what her other apprentice was wearing, which so happened to be a lacy black bra and a pair of boxers with ramen bowls with angel wings. Her pink hair a total mess. Sakura, the busty Hokage said. Oh, Lady Tsunade, what are you doing here? Sakura asked, looking shy as she tried to find something else to cover herself up with. That's what I'd like to know, Sakura. You too, Ino, Tsunade said as she eyed her 2 apprentices. Oh, well, Sakura muttered. We were, that is to say, Ino stumbled. They are both studying the human body, Ba-chan. Naruto soon appeared wearing just a sheet around his waist. He turned to Sakura. So that's where my boxers went, he commented. Sakura turned pink as she rubbed the fabric of the boxers between her fingers. Studying the human body? Tsunade questioned. Yeah, that's right, Lady Tsunade. Naruto volunteered himself to be our living dummy to study, Ino said, latching onto the lie. I see, what have you learned then? Tsunade asked. Well, we learned, Sakura, care to field this question? Ino asked. Huh, oh yeah, we learned where certain muscle groups are located as well how well they worked when in great exertion, and the limits of human stamina, Sakura said with a nice pink hue on her cheeks as she said the whole thing, thinking back to last night and how she and Ino studied. Tsunade's eyebrow raised at this. Ino and Naruto looked at Sakura. They couldn't believe she just said that. I see, then you seem to be learning more with Naruto than the books I gave you. Tsunade asked. Well, there's only so much you can learn from books, Lady Tsunade. It helps to get real practice, right? Ino asked. Yes, there is. So I should leave you to your lessons, but report back to me on what you've learned, In full detail, Tsunade said. Sakura and Ino's jaws dropped and Naruto was extremely nervous. Tsunade left, leaving the three stunned. Tsunade grinned to herself, wondering what those reports will be. Gaara yawned as he awoke. He stretched and got out of bed. He did his morning routine and then headed to get some breakfast before taking a shower. As soon as he was finished with all that, he was ready to start the day, but he had to wake up his roommate and best friend. So Gaara went to Naruto's door and knocked on it. There was no answer. The redhead frowned, then knocked again, this time harder, hoping that would wake the lazy blonde. Still no answer, and this annoyed Gaara some. He knew Naruto was a bit lazy and didn't like getting up, but the blonde would usually awake after he banged on his door a few times. If to just tell Gaara to knock off the racket. So Gaara knocked harder on the door several times, then the door was wrenched open. Before him was a green-haired girl and she looked absolutely pissed off. She had on a t-shirt that said, "Ramen God and proud of it," and a pair of aquamarine panties. Her mint green hair a mess from getting up. "What the hell do you want?" she growled. Gaara blinked as his brain tried to figure out who this girl was. He remembered seeing her around and then it clicked. "Fu, what are you doing here?" he asked. "I was sleeping, but you interrupted that," Fu spat. "No, why are you in Naruto's room?" Gaara asked. Before Fu could respond, they heard a drawn-out moaning stretch and then a figure came sauntering to the door. She was wearing just dark purple bra that had paw prints on the cups and panties with the picture of a kitten's winking face on it. This showed off her totally amazing body. Her long blonde hair was a total mess, just like Fu's was. Gaara had a bit of a nosebleed seeing this sight. He quickly wiped it away as he chanted to himself. "I am not a pervert, I am not a pervert, I am not a pervert." "What's got you in a tizzy, Fu? You need to relax, babe," the long-haired blonde said as she snuggled her almost body against Fu's. Fu groaned as she felt herself pressed against the blonde. "Yugito," she muttered. Gaara's eyes widened as he heard the name. Yugito, she was a year ahead of Naruto and himself. What was she doing here? And wearing that? "What's going on here? Why are you two in Naruto's room?" he asked. Oh, you must be Gaara, Naruto's roommate," Yugito said, seeing Gaara for the first time. Gaara just nodded. "My name is Yugito, and as to why I am here, well, I'm tutoring Naruto in various things," Yugito said. "Licking, sucking and thrusting come to mind," Fu muttered. "Hey, I didn't hear you complaining what I did it to you last night," Yugito said with a smirk. Again Gaara chanted internally. "I am not a pervert, I am not a pervert, I am not a pervert. How could I? My mouth was full and my mother always told me never talk with my mouth full," Fu said cheekily. "Yeah, but it feels amazing when you do," Yugito purred. Again Gaara was doing his, "I'm not a pervert," chant. He knew what his sister did to perverts, mainly since his brother Kankuro was one. What his sister did was bash perverts over the head with something metal and heavy, which she pulled out of who knows where. Then after the bashing she then pummeled the pervert into a bloody pulp. It wasn't something Gaara ever wanted to experience. Soon another person appeared at the door. It was Naruto. He got between the two girls and wrapped an arm around both, rubbing their smooth taut tummies. "What are you two doing up? I thought we all agreed to stay in bed today." Naruto asked. "We did, but we got a disturbance," Fu said. Naruto furrowed his brow, then turned to Gaara. "Hey Gaara, I'll be in my room for the day and night. Don't wait up," he said. "And wear earplugs," Fu mumbled. Naruto squeezed Fu's bottom. "Naruto, don't squeeze my," Fu reprimanded. "Oh Fu, quit being a prude." "Naruto, you can squeeze me anytime and anywhere you want," Yugito purred. "And you can squeeze me anytime and anywhere you want, Yugito," Naruto said, leering at his fellow blonde. "Do that back in bed, not in public," Fu said. "Where's your sense of adventure, Fu?" Yugito asked. "I have one, but not when it come to getting possibly caught and expelled," Fu said. The two girls were about to argue, but Naruto nipped it in the bud, literally. He pinched both of their bottoms, making them squeak. "Girls, enough squabbling. Let's retire," Naruto said. "Yes Naruto, the girl said. See ya, Gaara, Naruto said. Fu closed the door and soon sounds of the bed creaking, moaning, groaning, gasping, panting and other sounds were being heard. Gaara flew back from a high-powered nosebleed. He hit the wall with a sickened crunch. Lucky bastard, he said before darkness befell him. Shizune and Sakura were frantic. The ambassadors of both Kumo and Kiri were missing. They were supposed to be meeting with the Hokage, but they never showed. This didn't help Tsunade's mood since she had already gotten up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. This just cheesed her off even more. She barked out orders to both Sakura and Shizune to find the two ambassadors and drag them to her office kicking and screaming if they had to. So this left the two apprentices of the Slug Princess in a desperate state. They looked high and low. Every bar and strip joint thinking the ambassadors were men. But they couldn't find them at all. And they knew if they came back empty-handed then they'd be the ones facing Tsunade's wrath. We've looked everywhere, Sakura, Shizune panted. They've got to be here. We've checked the gates and they said they didn't see them leave, Sakura said. But where? Shizune asked. Naruto, Sakura said. Naruto? What does Naruto have to do with anything? Shizune asked confused. Naruto, he could help us and if we still can't find them then we can blame Naruto and he can get Lady Tsunade's wrath, Sakura said. Shizune didn't really want to put the boy she thought of as her own brother into the line of fire, but self-preservation had kicked in and it was either him or her and she'd have to always pick him to get the beating over her. Besides, Naruto was quite resilient and could take a beating from Tsunade if past examples were anything to go by. Right, let's find Naruto, she said. So the two medic nins raced to Naruto's place. Sakura knocked on the door, but got no answer. Sakura knocked again and still no answer. This then began Sakura banging on the door and Shizune had to keep Sakura from smashing the door down. Why do I feel like I am trying to restrain Lady Tsunade? Shizune thought. Sakura kept pounding away screaming. Naruto, get your lazy up now. Soon the door was wrenched open and before them was a severely pissed off blonde and it wasn't Naruto. She had shoulder-length blonde hair which was in an utter mess. Her ice-cold blue eyes were glaring with deadly intent. What do you want? She asked in a calm, frigid voice. This voice sent shivers up Sakura and Shizune's spines. Well, the girl asked. Who the hell are you and what are doing here? Sakura shouted. I am asking the questions, Pinky. So shut up and talk like a normal person when spoken to, the girl said coolly. We apologize for being so loud, but we're looking for Naruto, Shizune said bowing her head as she held Sakura back from bashing in the blonde. She now really felt like she was holding back Tsunade. Naruto, he's a bit preoccupied at the moment, but I'll let him know you came by, the girl said. Who are you? Sakura asked. My name is Samui, now you can leave, Samui said. Samui, where are you? He's asking for you and I'm getting tired. A dark-haired girl appeared wearing a bed sheet and this made Sakura and Shizune look shocked. They then looked at what Samui was wearing and all she was wearing was a black shirt with an orange swirl on the front and a pair of panties. Though her bust was quite big it made the shirt raise up to really get a nice sight of her taut tummy. Haku, you said you could handle him, Samui said. I know, but I was wrong, Haku said with a sigh. Sakura was shocked. That girl was Haku. She didn't recognize the girl that they met in Wave all those years ago. Oh, it's the pink-haired shrieker. What do you want? Haku asked seeing Sakura. Sakura's mouth was doing a great imitation of a fish and Shizune was just totally stunned. Girls, where are you? Naruto asked. He then appeared behind the two girls. He was just wearing a pair of boxers with lightning bolts and snowflakes on them. Sorry Naruto, we have interruptions, Samui said. Huh, Sakura, Shizune, what are you two doing here? Naruto asked. Neither one responded. Come on back to bed. Since they aren't talking, why should we waste our time? Haku said. I agree, I still need to pay you back, Haku, for what you pulled last night, Samui said. Hey, I knew him before you so I got first dibs, Haku said. Whatever, I am going first this time, Samui said. In your dreams, Haku said. Naruto pinched both of their very fine and firm behinds, making them jump. No fighting, girls. I can handle both of you and you know that, he said. Yes, master, they both said with a bit of cheekiness. Good. Close the door, Samui, and we can get back, Naruto said. Samui shut the door. Sakura and Shizune just stared at the door, their brains unable to comprehend what had just happened. Soon the sounds of moaning, giggling and other very erotic sounds were being heard, and they could hear them thanks to their sharp hearing as shinobi. To the bar, Sakura suggested. Yes, the bar, Shizune said. The two medic nin raced to the nearest bar to drink away the day to forget what they had just seen. Leaving Tsunade to beat up and explode at every other shinobi or other personnel that came past her. Hiyashi Hyuga, the head of the prestigious Hyuga clan of Konoha. He walked down the hall with purpose. His wife had claimed she wasn't feeling well and had retired to bed. That was late morning and she hadn't been seen all day. This worried the clan head somewhat, but he had to hide that concern since as a Hyuga you always had to show a stoic face. He walked down to his wife's room, which she had taken since they hadn't shared a bed since the birth of their second daughter. Hitomi, are you in there? Hiyashi asked as he knocked on the door. There was no answer. Now you'd think that Hiyashi would just activate his Byakugan and check on her, but the last time he did that Hitomi pulled a huge mallet out of nowhere and beat him with it till he looked worse than Jiraiya after getting pummeled for spying on a hot spring. After that Hiyashi always remembered never peek in on his wife, ever. Hitomi, are you alright? Hiyashi asked a bit louder as he kept knocking on the door. Again no answer. This made Hiyashi frown and hope to God that Hitomi was alright. So he knocked again. Soon he heard some shuffling and the door opened. Hiyashi's eyes widened seeing that it wasn't his wife at the door. No, it was a blonde-haired boy. His name escaped Hiyashi for a moment. Man, what do you want? I'm in the middle of something real important, the boy mumbled. The blonde was wearing a pair of boxers that he had hastily put on. His spiky blonde hair a mess. Who are you and what are you doing in my wife's room? Hiyashi asked in a very stern tone. Huh, oh, you're the dead fish, the boy said. Before Hiyashi's anger could be unleashed he heard a voice, the voice of his wife. My little maelstrom, where are you? I'm in need of you to rock my shores again. Hitomi Hyuga then appeared. She had thrown on a robe to cover her modesty, but never tied it since it would been take off as quickly as possible. She got behind the blonde boy and pressed herself up against with her cushioning his head. Hitomi, Hiyashi uttered. Oh Hiyashi, what do you want? Don't you have a council meeting or something? I am busy at the moment. Come Naruto, I need you to give me another whirlpool, Hitomi said dismissing her husband. Hiyashi stared at Naruto. Now he recognized the boy's face. He felt his rage boil over, but soon all he saw was black. Hitomi sensing her husband's change in mood and pulled out a huge mallet and hit Hiyashi on the head, knocking him out before he could harm her lover. She then slammed the door shut, dragged Naruto back into her room and to bed, leaving Hiyashi out cold on the floor not to be found for a long while. When he would wake he'd assume it was all a very bad dream and it was bad tea he drank at breakfast. Along with a painful headache too. Karui was pissed and it was only Omoi that was keeping her from exploding. The reason why Karui was pissed was that they were missing 2 members of their team and now they were running late. They were supposed to be leaving Konoha an hour ago after the peace talks they had. But 2 of their party hadn't shown up at the gates, and when they checked their rooms they weren't there and they found out that they had already checked out too. Now they were trying to find their 2 missing comrades. So far they've had no luck. I am going to kill them both, Karui growled. Omoi sighed as he wondered what could have happened, but he kept his concerned rambling to himself since Karui was already pissed and he didn't want to add any more fuel to the fire, which would make the redhead explode. I got their chakra signatures, finally, Karui muttered. They soon followed it till they reached an apartment door. Why would they be here? Omoi asked out loud, speaking for the first time since they started their search. Who gives a? We're here and we can drag their damn out, Karui said. The redhead began hammering on the door, which was quite solid thankfully. Samui, Yugito, open this door damn now and get your out here. We need to go, she shouted. Omoi looked around with his head tucked in a bit. He was embarrassed at Karui's behavior and knew they'd be drawing a crowd soon if Karui didn't rein her anger in anytime soon. Maybe spend some time in Konoha jail for disturbing the peace, and if Karui attacked someone then they could be tried for assault and then they could be executed for it. These worried thoughts rushed through Omoi's head. Karui kept up her brutal assault on the poor defenseless door till it was yanked open. Before Karui and Omoi was a very pissed off Samui. Her ice blue eyes was glaring at them with death. The ki radiating off her was in heavy waves. What do you want? She asked in a dark voice. We want, it's time to leave, Omoi said cowering. Karui was frozen from fear. What neither noticed was Samui's attire. Well, I guess attire isn't exactly what it should be called. Samui was wearing a bed sheet covering her form. Her blonde hair was a total mess too. Go where? Samui asked. Back to Kumo. The peace talks are over, remember, Omoi said. Oh, that. I talked to the Raikage and I've decided to stay longer. A vacation of sorts, Samui said. What vacation? Why the hell would you want to vacation here? Karui asked, shouted. Karui, it's way too early for you to be shouting like that. Karui and Omoi turned and saw their second wayward teammate. It was Yugito. This time they noticed what Yugito wearing. Yugito was wearing dark purple bra and panties. On the bra cups had cat paw prints. This showed off her amazingly fit body. She gracefully sauntered over and stood by Samui. Omoi quickly turned his head from Yugito, not wanting to be labeled as a pervert since he knew what the Nibi Jinchuriki did to perverts. So why are you shouting, Karui? Yugito asked. What? Why are you wearing that? What's going on here? Why are you with Samui? Why is Samui going on vacation? Why? Karui shouted. I am wearing this because I didn't have time to get fully dressed. I am here with Samui because I am here with Samui. Samui's on vacation since she deserves it, Yugito said. Don't tell me, you're vacationing here too, Karui muttered. Yeah, I am, Yugito said. Why? Omoi asked, keeping his head turned a bit since he had never seen either Samui or Yugito so uncovered before. Because we like it here and we're enjoying the sights, Samui said. Sights? Karui asked. Samui, Yugito, where are you two? A new voice came in and then soon he appeared. He was blonde like Samui and Yugito, but he had spiky blonde hair and whisker marks on his face. He was only wearing a pair of boxers, showing off his hard pecs and six-pack abs. He got to Samui and Yugito and wrapped an arm around both girls, pulling them close. The girls moved to mold into the boy's embrace. Who are you? Karui asked. The sights, I mean this is Naruto. He's kind of our tour guide here around Konoha and has agreed to let us stay with him for the duration of our vacation, Yugito said. Karui couldn't believe it. Her mind clicked as all the connections were being made. As for Omoi, well, his mind went to what if Naruto got Samui or Yugito or both of them pregnant, and what would happen to the babies? Would Naruto marry both Samui and Yugito, and if he did, where would they live? Well, now that we've got that straightened out, Yugito and I will be back in Kumo in 2 weeks. See you then, Samui said. Bye you two, have a nice trip home, Yugito said, then slammed the door on Karui and Omoi. Karui and Omoi stood there. They soon heard noises coming from within the apartment. Giggles, moans, groans, grunts and other erotic sounds. Karui? Omoi asked. Shut up, Omoi. I don't want to hear it, Karui said, then leapt off back to the gate. Omoi followed, unsure what to really think. Iruka had a smile on his face as he walked to the home of an old student of his, Naruto. Naruto had just gotten back from a 3-year training trip with Jiraiya of the Sannin. Iruka hoped to talk to Naruto over a bowl of ramen at Ichiraku's. He was so proud of Naruto and how far the blonde has come from being the loudmouth dead last. Yes, Naruto was still considered loud, but according to reports he's heard and read, Naruto has gotten much stronger and becoming a very respected shinobi of Konoha. Rumors of him helping out in the civil war in Kiri had spread along with other talk of Naruto bridging peace talks with Iwa too. Then there's the rumor he was in a movie based on a certain book series with the daimyo of Spring, Snow Country. Now Iruka was sure this was all just gossip and nothing of real fact. Though there was a rumor of a contingent from Kiri were going to come to the village soon. So who knows, Naruto might have helped in the Kiri civil war. Iruka would find out the truth when he talked with Naruto. He got to Naruto's front door and knocked on it. There was no answer. Iruka frowned. He knew Naruto didn't have a mission since recently returning from saving the cage. So Iruka knocked again and again, no answer. Iruka knocked a few more times, then he heard footsteps. He got ready to give his old student a little lecture about making people wait, but all that left his brain when the door opened. In front of Iruka wasn't the sunny blonde he knows. No, in front of Iruka was a young woman instead. She had long brown hair, which was in a total mess, and sleepy brown eyes. She grumbled from being woken up. What Iruka failed to realize, since he was so shocked seeing the woman here in front of him, was her attire. She was wearing an apron over a lace red bra and thong-style panties, though the apron hid them mostly. "What do you want?" she asked in a very grumpy tone. "Who are you?" Iruka asked. "Huh, Iruka, is that you?" the woman asked. "Ayame," Iruka exclaimed. Yeah, it me," Ayame said with a bright blush gracing her cheeks. Iruka blinked, then saw what Ayame was wearing and felt a bit of blood drip from his nose. He turned away and wiped the blood away. "What are you doing here, Ayame?" he asked. I'm here to welcome Naruto home. I heard he returned, though hadn't come by the ramen stand. I thought he'd like to have some extra, special ramen, that I was working on," Ayame said as looking down at her feet, her toes drawing circles on the floor. "Special ramen?" Iruka asked. Yeah," Ayame blushed. Before Iruka could ask for more detail, he saw his former student appear. He was scratching the back of his head. All he was dressed in was a pair of boxers with ramen bowls with angel wings and toads on them, his bare chest showing his hard-worked body. He yawned and then wrapped an arm around Ayame's waist and nuzzled her hair with his face. You smell so good," he mumbled. Ayame pressed herself against Naruto's body on instinct, it seemed. Iruka was stunned by this all. What had happened to the runt of student he used to teach? He then blinked as he saw Naruto's hands began roaming Ayame's body in a very sensual manner. His cheeks heated up, knowing this wasn't something he was supposed to be watching. "Naruto," Ayame groaned. Naruto grinned as he moved his mouth and began nibbling on Ayame's earlobe as his hands got more bold and slipped under her apron and began caressing the bare skin. Ayame groaned, letting Naruto play with her body. "Come back to bed, my goddess of the ramen, I must worship you some more," Naruto growled into Ayame's ear. Ayame was very turned on by this. She turned around and fully kissed Naruto. Her arms wrapped around Naruto's neck. The two kissed passionately. Ayame pushed Naruto back into the apartment. She kicked the door shut on Iruka's face. Iruka now stood there staring at the closed door. His mind still stunned at what he had just seen. Soon his ears picked up several sounds. Sounds he knew somewhat well. Moans, groans, pleadings for more, as well as the sentence, "Yes, Naruto, yes, worship me." It was so much at once. He rocketed back with a huge nosebleed. He landed hard into the wall, creating a crack in the wall. Iruka laid there unconscious with blood loss not to be found for quite some time. Shizune was worried as she leapt from rooftop to rooftop. She couldn't find Lady Tsunade. She wasn't anywhere, and she checked everywhere, even every bar there was, from the higher end to the downright dumps of ones, and no blonde hair or big bust in sight. What made her even more worried was Sakura hasn't been seen at all either. The pink-haired girl was supposed to be on shift, but never showed. Shizune went to Sakura's home and found the girl wasn't there. She knew Sakura wasn't sent off on any mission. So that left trying to find Tsunade and Sakura within the village. She knew she needed help, but she needed to do this quietly. If word got out that the Hokage was missing, there'd be bedlam. So she went to the only one she could trust. Naruto. She knew Naruto could find both of them. He had a great talent in finding people. And she knew he'd be worried if Sakura and Tsunade was missing. Though Tsunade and Naruto's relationship would be considered odd, they both truly cared for one another like an aunt and her nephew. And as for Naruto and Sakura's relationship, well, they were close even though Naruto wanted more. But Sakura seemed to happy with their relationship at the friendship level. So Shizune got to Naruto's and knocked the door in rapid motions. Time was of the essence. There was no answer and Shizune kept knocking, not giving up till she got Naruto. Her wrist was getting tired and her knuckles sore. She was about to give up when the door opened, but the person at the door wasn't the blonde she thought of as a little brother. No, in front of her was Tsunade. The busty blonde Hokage was wearing a loosely tied robe that went down to her thigh and it was threatening to open from the strain of her enormous chest. "What the hell do you want?" she asked grumpily. "Lady Tsunade," Shizune exclaimed. "Huh, Shizune, what are you doing here and not at the hospital?" Tsunade asked. I, what are you doing here?" Shizune asked. "Huh, oh, just giving a patient a checkup," Tsunade said. "A checkup, Lady Tsunade, but why here and not the hospital?" Shizune asked. "Privacy issues," Tsunade said casually. This Shizune could believe since some of the patients they saw preferred at-home visits since they didn't like going to the hospital for one reason or another. But before Shizune could get farther in asking who the patient was, a new figure appeared. The figure had short pink hair and tired green eyes. She got next to Tsunade and Shizune noted the state of the girl's attire. She was wearing only a shirt a couple sizes too small, making her chest strain against the fabric and showing her taut tummy. Along with white panties. "Sakura!" Shizune exclaimed. "Huh, Shizune, what are you doing here?" Sakura asked. Before Shizune could answer, Tsunade turned to Sakura. "How's the patient, Sakura?" she asked. "He's feeling up, and quite hard. We're needed right away," Sakura said. "I see, we'll need more assistance," Tsunade said seriously. Before Shizune could ask what's going on, a third figure appeared. "What's taking you two so long? I'm in pain," Naruto asked with a whine. "Sorry Naruto, but Lady Tsunade and I were discussing the need of additional assistance for this procedure," Sakura said. "And I think I might have found it," Tsunade said, eyeing Shizune. Before Shizune knew what was going on, she was grabbed and pulled into Naruto's apartment. "Come Shizune, we need you for a most serious operation, it's a matter of life or death," Tsunade said as she pulled Shizune inside. It was 2 days before the three medic nins emerged from Naruto's apartment. All three walking with not so subtle limps and the three biggest shit-eating grins ever in Konoha history. They couldn't wait for Naruto's next checkup. Jiraiya was grumbling as he had waited for his student, Naruto, for almost 3 hours. He then decided to go find him since he wasn't going to have the little brat pull a Kakashi on him. Nope, no way. He was also going to pay the masked Junin a visit later for teaching his student some bad habits. In his mind he plotted to threaten the masked Junin with a ban on reading his book series. Yeah, that would work well. But that would have to wait. He had a blonde to chew out. He got to Naruto's apartment and knocked on the door. There was no answer. "Yo brat, wake up," the Toad Sage said as he knocked on the door again, this time harder. Still no answer. "Brat, if you don't open up then I'll break this door down," Jiraiya demanded as he knocked even harder. Still no answer. Jiraiya kept banging on the door till it opened. He was about to lay into his student when he saw in front of him wasn't his student. No, it was a girl with short dark blue hair that was a mess and pupil-less eyes. She was rubbing those eyes too. Jiraiya then noticed that the girl was wearing a black shirt with an orange swirl on it and dark blue panties. Her very nicely sized chest made the shirt ride up enough to see her very firm and toned stomach. He began to giggle in perverted fashion on instinct. My student is now a man. He has bagged a lady, and a lovely one at that with that kind of figure. She seems to be a Hyuga too, nice the perverted sage thought. Who are you and what do you want? The girl asked tiredly. Jiraiya unable to help himself whenever someone would ask for his name. He just had to do his kabuki dance. I am the great Toad Sage from Mount Myoboku. I am the man that makes women across the 5 elemental nations swoon. I make men tremble in fear when they hear just my name. My enemies flee upon seeing me. I am the great Jiraiya, he said as he summoned a toad and posed on said toad. The girl blinked, unsure what to really think about what she really just saw. She knew she must have ate something bad last night or something. What's with all the commotion? Soon another figure appeared and Jiraiya's eyes locked on her. She had long blonde hair that was in quite a mess and blue eyes. She was just attired in dark purple bra and panties with a floral lace pattern. It showed off her very firm, toned and supple body that was from years of hard training. Jiraiya immediately took out his notepad and began making notes. This would work so well in his next book. The brat was a freaking gold mine. Oh, hello Ino, the dark blue-haired girl said. Morning Hinata, Ino said. Ino Yamanaka, the Yamanaka heiress Ino, as well as the Hyuga heiress too. That damn brat doesn't just score, he scores big, Jiraiya thought as he giggled pervertedly as he jotted down more notes. Who's the hermit? Ino asked, seeing Jiraiya for the first time. Jiraiya was in a squatting position as his pen danced across his notepad taking down notes. I think he's Jiraiya the Toad Sage, but I am not sure since he did this weird dance, Hinata said. Huh? Ino asked. Did someone say Jiraiya? Soon a third figure appeared and Jiraiya looked up, his eyes widened and as did his perverted grin. 3 girls, 3 of them. The brat is very good, but she looks very familiar, the Toad Sage thought. The third girl had short pink hair, who like the other 2 had their hair in a mess and tired green eyes. She had on a black lace bra and a pair of boxers with toads on them that Jiraiya had given Naruto as a present. Again her attire showed off her nice body that was from years of training. Yes Sakura, I did say Jiraiya, Hinata said with a nod. That's Sakura, damn she grew into her looks. The brat is freaking lucky. Oh, I have so much research right here, Jiraiya giggled. Sakura looked at Jiraiya as he wrote in his notepad, only looking up to get the 3 girls' figures and features right. What is he doing? Ino asked. I haven't a clue, Hinata said. Sakura was about to answer when a new voice cut her off. Hey guys, where are you? Naruto's been asking for you all, and you know I can't take care of him myself. Soon a 4th girl showed and Jiraiya was just inches away from getting on his knees and bowing down, thanking God for the gift he has received. The brat was truly a gold mine. Sorry Tenten, but we're sidetracked by Jiraiya here, Hinata said. Yeah, we're not sure why he's here either, Ino said frowning. I think I might know, Sakura said as she glared at the pervert hermit. Jiraiya stared at the 4th girl, which was hard since the 3 already were jamming the doorway and a 4th was making it hard for him to get all their descriptions in and get them right. But the 4th girl was a long-haired brunette with brown eyes. She was wearing a gray shirt and a pair of panties that had kunai and shuriken on them. The gray shirt was small on her and revealed her very toned tummy. Oh, my student has become the master. I am so proud of the brat, Jiraiya thought as tears ran down his face as he kept writing. Himes, where are you? The bed's getting quite cold and lonely. Soon Naruto appeared. He had a sheet wrapped around his waist just showing off his abs and chest. He looked at all the girls and gave them all deep kisses that left each girl breathless. So that's where my boxers went, he commented as he looked at Sakura. Sakura blushed a bright pink as she played with the waistband of the undergarments she was wearing. I couldn't find my panties, she said in a meek tone. Naruto then turned to see Jiraiya. Pervy Sage, what are you doing here? Naruto asked. Jiraiya fell to his knees and began bowing to Naruto and the Konoha girls. Pervy Sage, Naruto asked. Oh forgive me, oh mighty master, you have surpassed me in so many ways. You've bagged 4 hot ladies at once. I am unworthy to be in your presence, Jiraiya said as he kept up his bowing as tears streamed out of his eyes in joy and happiness that his student has followed him in taking the pleasures of women. Pervy Sage, did someone spike your tea this morning or something, because you're not making any sense? Naruto asked perplexed. Jiraiya's attitude then turned on a dime. He became serious, well, pervert serious. He got up from his kneeling position and looked Naruto right in the eye. Okay, brat, tell me everything. Spill. How did this all happen? Who did you do first? Which one was the screamer? Are the shy ones really the wildest in bed? Are blondes the best to be with? Does pink hair have anything with performance? Do girls who like to use weapons extra kinky in bed? The toad sage asked in quick succession. Naruto blinked then got angry. Like hell I'd tell you. You'd just put in it into your smutty books. He shouted. The girls were blushing a bit. Hinata was poking her index fingers together, but her embarrassment was soon turning to anger since these questions were quite personal. Ino looked mad. Sakura was cracking her knuckles and Tenten. Well, somehow she pulled out several kunai and shuriken. Don't ask how she got them. Come on, brat, inquisitive minds need to know. I can make you famous. I can make your girls famous. For the sake of research, please tell me. This is pure gold, it can be the next bestseller, Jiraiya begged. Before Naruto could respond, he felt 4 powerful kiss that were steadily raising in ire. He smirked a foxy smirk. You know, pervy sage, everyone should know, he said. Great. Glad you see it my way, brat. Now who was the screamer? Jiraiya asked as he held up his notepad ready to take notes. I think they can answer your questions better. Right, ladies, Naruto said, turning to them. Before Jiraiya were 4 figures covered with menacing auras. They were glaring down at the toad sage. Their ki now bearing down on the hermit. Jiraiya then tried his best non-perverted suave grin. Ladies, he said. The blows came quick, fierce and oh so painful. Naruto had moved to the side to be out of the way, but made sure he could watch the beating. Jiraiya screamed in almighty pain as he was being beaten to hell and back. Serves you right, pervy sage, he thought. Jiyuken strikes all over his body with the main focus on the groin, kunai and shuriken shoved up where the sun don't shine, punches and kicks all over his body with the main focus on his face and groin. Jiraiya was in utter hell of pain with the 4 girls pummeling him with their special skills. Jiraiya was now a total mess, breathing irregularly as it looked like Sakura had bent Jiraiya in positions no human should ever be in. But Jiraiya's pain wasn't over. The 4 girls looked at each other and then nodded. They all charged in and in unison, all 4 released chakra-powered uppercuts. Little did Jiraiya know was Tsunade not only took Sakura under her wing, but the other 3 girls of the Konoha 11. Jiraiya went flying long and far. Farther than any other time Tsunade had sent him flying. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade saw the soaring object. Huh, looks like someone broke my record, she commented before going back to her tea. Back at Naruto's apartment, the girls all felt good releasing their anger. Oh girls, you need some more anger release? Naruto asked with a foxy grin. The girls grinned and nodded. The door closed and soon loud sounds were coming from Naruto's apartment. Jiraiya landed somewhere in Lightning Country in a huge crater. He wasn't found till many days later due to the remoteness of the place. Kushina sighed as she drummed her fingers on the table of a cafe. She checked the time again and saw that it was late. She sighed and decided to get going. She was unhappy that her 2 best friends had skipped out on her on what was supposed to be their day to chat and have fun, since she had a day off and they could all catch up with one another. So she headed home hoping her son was awake. When she got home she found she was wrong and grumbled. I'm going to first wake his lazy butt up, then drag him to the nearest training ground and beat the train him, the redhead thought. She got to her son's door and knocked on it. There was no answer. She knocked again, harder, and again no answer. This infuriated her and she started banging on the door. Thankfully all the doors in the house were reinforced due to Kushina's bad temper and they lost a lot of doors before they did this option. Naruto, opened this door this instant. Kushina shouted. The door was yanked open and Kushina could only stare. Before her was 2 pairs of very angry and pissed off eyes. One pair was Byakugan and the other Sharingan. Before Kushina were her 2 best friends Hitomi Hyuga and Makoto Uchiha. What the hell is wrong with you, tomato head? Hitomi asked grumpily. Yes, Kushina. What's wrong with you? Some of us are trying to sleep. Makoto asked in a very cool grumpy tone. WHWH, what the hell are you two doing in my son's room and wearing that? Kushina shouted. Makoto and Hitomi were both dressed in well, they were dressed in what appeared to be Naruto's shirts. Though they were quite small on them, which meant it showed off their taut tummies. They also had on bikini-cut panties. Hitomi's were a lavender color while Makoto's were a black lace. Oh, Hitomi said as she poked her fingers together, very reminiscent of her eldest daughter. We, Makoto stuttered. Kushina was tapping her foot waiting for an answer. Aunties, where are you? I thought you wanted to train me some more. Soon Naruto appeared just wearing a pair of boxers. Kushina wasn't shocked seeing this since she'd seen her son like this before. But what shocked her was Naruto moving in between Makoto and Hitomi and wrapped his arms around the two women's waists, pulling them close to him. Naruto, Makoto said. Naruto, Hitomi moaned as Naruto's hands tickled her bare skin. Kushina's eyes widened at this. Naruto Uzumaki, what the hell do you think you're doing? She shouted. Naruto turned to his mother and his eyes widened. Mom, he stuttered out. I want an answer, young man, and it better be a good one. Why are my two best friends in your room and dressed like that? Kushina asked in a very stern tone that said, tell me, and if I like the explanation then I won't beat the living tar out of you. Naruto gulped as he looked at Hitomi and then Makoto, hoping they had a way out of this. He was scared shitless of his mom's anger. It's not really your son's fault, Kushina. We, Makoto and I have been lonely as of late. You know who we're married to. We haven't had any kind of, release in a while and, well, Naruto is providing an important service, Hitomi said. Oh, and what kind of service is that? Kushina asked. He distresses all married women of their burdens. It just melts away at his touch, Makoto said. Oh, and when has he started to provide this service? Kushina asked. Just a week as of last night for me, Hitomi said. For me it's been 2.5 weeks, 2.5 stress-free weeks, Makoto said with a smile as she remembered her times with Naruto before. Kushina couldn't believe this. Her own son doing her two best friends. Her eyebrow was twitching in a jittery manic manner. Then a smile cracked on her face. It wasn't a sunny smile or an evil smile. No, it was a psychotic one. She then began laughing. Well, I think cackling would be a better word to use. This frightened both clan matriarchs as well as her son. She's lost it, the three thought. Oh, this is so perfect. My darling son has found two women to love and they seem to love him too. I just can't wait for grandbabies, Kushina squealed. Whoa, hold on there, Kushina. What the hell are you talking about? Makoto asked. Yes, we never said we're in love with Naruto, and we do have husbands, Hitomi said. Oh, that can be taken care of. And what do you mean you don't love my son? Are you just using him? Kushina asked with a sickly sweet smile that made shivers run down the two women's spines. No. We love your son. We love Naruto, Hitomi said quickly. Yes, we love him utterly and completely, Makoto said. Oh, that's great. Now, I must be going. I've got places to go and people to slay, Kushina said in a happy tone. Yeah, she's really lost it, Naruto, Makoto and Hitomi thought. Kushina giggled as she left, but then stopped. Oh, Hitomi, I still remember what you called me. We're going to have a nice talk when I get back, the fiery redhead said as she grabbed her sword. After that we'll be talking wedding plans and grandbabies. And with that Kushina left, heading to the Hyuga compound. This left Naruto, Hitomi and Makoto standing there. Is she? Hitomi asked. Yes, she is, Makoto said. And we're now? Hitomi asked. Yes, we are, Makoto said. Well then let's go, Naruto. I guess we've got some celebrating to do, Hitomi said with a sigh. She and Makoto dragged Naruto back into his room, accepting their fate and hoped their husbands would at least die a painless death at their friend's hand. Naruto was just totally shocked at what was going on. Meanwhile, two clan heads felt an ice-cold chill run down their spines as they felt their time on Earth was now finally up. Hinata was walking to her mother's room. Her mother hadn't been feeling well since breakfast ended and Hinata decided to make tea from the fresh tea leaves she had picked. She hoped it would soothe whatever ailment plagued her mother. So with tea on a tray she headed to her mother's room. Now she could have had the Branch family do this, but Hinata was too kind and didn't want to trouble them with it at all. So that's why she was carrying the tea and not a Branch member. If a main member saw her they'd scoff, but they are getting bigger poles up their butts, I mean at a Hyuga council meeting. Hinata got to her mother's bedroom door remembering that her mother slept in her own room far from her father after having Hanabi. Hinata wasn't sure why they decided this, but she didn't dwell on it. Hinata knocked lightly on the door. There was no answer. This made the Hyuga heiress sigh. She needed to be firmer. So she tried again, harder this time. Still no answer. Hinata hoped her mother wasn't too sick to answer the door and she tried once more. She knocked on the door and this time she heard movement. She took a few deep breaths and soon the door opened. Hinata let out a squeak at who answered. It was definitely not her mother. At the door was her crush, Naruto Uzumaki. He was shirtless and this just made more blood rush to her face at seeing Naruto's bare chest. Lord, he looked so good. Hinata's perverted side began making comments like, "Oh my, look at those abs and chisel pecs. Don't you just want to run your hands all over? Hell, forget hands, more like use your tongue. I bet he tastes so damn good. Hey, looks like he packing a very nice kunai in his shorts too. Oh, use your Byakugan and looking at it. Please. And, forget Byakugan, jump him now. This could be your only chance, jump him and enjoy the ride." A trickle of blood flowed from her nose as she just stared at Naruto only clad in his boxers. Hinata? Naruto asked. Naruto, WW, what are you doing here? Hinata managed to get out. Oh, I am here, too, well, Naruto muttered as he rubbed the back of his head. This made him flex his bicep. Hinata eyed that bicep and licked her lips. He was strong and powerful. She was really now fighting her perverted side that was giggling Jiraiya style. That and also fighting not passing out right here and now. My Maelstrom, where are you? I'm in need of another reckoning. Hinata knew that voice. It was the voice of her mother. Then her vision saw her mother who had placed a robe on, but it wasn't tight at all. It covered her, but if she moved then it would bare all. She was also wearing a pair of thong-style panties. Hinata's mind was in overload. Her mother and Naruto and her mother. A part of her mind was screaming at her to kill the bitch that has taken her Naruto. The other part of Hinata's was shocked at seeing her mother with Naruto and was trying quell the other side, telling it that this was her mother and you shouldn't hurt your mom. The two sides warred with each other. Hinata, what are you doing? Hitomi asked. Hinata didn't hear her mother since she was too busy with her internal battle. Hinata, Hitomi shouted. This got Hinata's attention and she blushed deeply seeing Naruto and her mother. Soon her perverted side rose up with a very perverted thought. To join in with her mother and Naruto. Hitomi sighed as she saw this. She knew of her daughter's huge crush on Naruto and felt kind of bad, but she hadn't had any freaking relief in years since Hiyashi had decided they would sleep in separate beds after the birth of Hanabi. Naruto was the only guy to satisfy that itch she had. Then a thought entered her mind. It was so wicked, so dirty, so taboo. She just had to try it. Come in, honey, you're just in time, Hitomi said in a sweet and gentle way. Naruto looked at Hitomi confused and was about to say something when Hitomi kissed him, which silenced him. Go along with my maelstrom, you'll enjoy it all, Hitomi said with a devious smile. She then dragged Hinata into the room and shut the door. The tray of tea was left on the floor by the door. Neither Hitomi nor Hinata were seen throughout the entire day, but when they emerged they were glowing and walking with slight limps. Both wondering when Naruto would come visit again.